So
I'm going to give you a little bit of backdrop on the story here. Now, we have Hannah. Hannah, she had to have been a godly woman. It says that she went up to the temple once a year. But Hannah could not have a kid. She was barren. And her husband's other wife would tease her and grieve her over it. And finally she got frustrated and got down on her knees and prayed and begged to God to give her a son. And like as oftentimes we do, she says, if you'll give me this, I'll do that. So in this case, if you'll give me a son, I will dedicate him to you, and I will not cut his hair, which means, that he was going to be a Nazarite. Which things go along with that besides the hair cutting and whatever, but that's what it was, is that her son that would be a Nazarite. So God heard her prayers and gave her a son, which we find out will be the prophet Samuel. And this is at the end of the Judges period, right before the kings start taking over in Israel. So this is right at the ending of the Judges period, and Samuel was the last judge of that period before the kings came, and he was a prophet as well. But we're not going to talk about Samuel tonight. We're actually going to talk about Hannah's praise that she gives to God. Like I said, Hannah was a godly woman. She knew who to thank, and she has a lot to say about him right here. And I can go back every bit of it back up with other scriptures. So it was really on point, really knowledgeable about God, and it speaks a lot to who He is and His character. So I'm going to start reading chapter 2, and I'm going to read all the way up through 10. But we're going to really cover 6 through 10, but I want to read the whole chapter. It says, and Hannah prayed and said, my heart rejoiceth in the Lord. Mine horn is exalted in the Lord. My mouth is enlarged over my enemies, because I rejoice in thy salvation. There is none holy as the Lord, for there is none beside thee, neither is there any rock like our God. Talk no more so exceedingly proudly. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. For the Lord is a God of knowledge, and by Him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty men are broken, and they that stumble are girded with strength. That they were full have hired out themselves for bread, and that they were hungry ceased. So that the barren hath borne 7, and she that hath many children is waxed feeble. The Lord killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up. The Lord maketh poor and maketh rich. He brings low and He lifts up. He raised up the poor out of the dust and lift up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among princes, and to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and He hath set the world upon them. He will keep the feet of His saints, and the wicked shall be silent in darkness, for by strength shall no man prevail. The adversaries of the Lord shall be broken to pieces. Out of heaven shall He thunder upon them. The Lord shall judge the ends of the earth, and He shall give strength unto His king, and exalt the horn of His anointed. Now so much can be said here. So much can be talked about in this little bit. Be talking about humility and pride. And tonight, that's kind of what I want to go over, humility and pride about. Because oftentimes, how often we think that we can do things on our own. How oftentimes we think that we can be rich on our own, or that we can buy this or get that, or we can do whatever we want to. And we don't even consider that it's God who gives it to us. We really don't even consider that it's God that gives it to us. Kind of like Nebuchadnezzar over in the book of Daniel. God warned him in a dream, and still, pride and arrogancy, I did this and I did that. And you go, please go back and read it. But he had this I, me problem. And how often we have the same problem. But here, Hannah has this all right. In fact, I want to go back. I said we were going to start in 6. I think I want to start in 5. It says that they were full, have hired out themselves for bread. You know, at one time they had a lot, but now they're having to hire themselves out just to have something to eat. You know, how often we look around and we try. And I know all my life, I try to earn money. I work sometimes 90, 100 hours a week. You know what I'm talking about, yeah. Work 90, 100 hours a week. But then at the end of the week, I had nothing to show for it. At the end of the week, I had nothing. But at the same time, there were times that I might work 20 hours. And I had more than if I worked 90 or 100 hours a week. And the thing is that it wasn't by my doing, because no matter how hard I tried, I just could never get enough. You know, things would come up. Extra bills would come up. Somebody gets sick and I'd have to take them to the doctor or the hospital or whatever. Something would come up. Something always does come up. And so no matter how hard I tried to do it on my own, I couldn't. But then when there are times that I gave it over to God and I didn't have a job at the time, or I didn't get to work enough hours, and I would have excess. I wish I had that problem now, I don't, but there were times when I had access. You know, it's God, when you put your faith and your trust in Him, He's the one that has the power to bring you up or lay you down. So those ones that once were full now are begging for bread, and they that were hungry, that one time were poor, they're ceased to be hungry because God lifted them up out of that. So that the barren, and she knew about being barren, because like I said, for years it says that she was not able to have children. But then God blessed her, and says, now the barren had borne 7, and she that had many children is waxed feeble or childless. Maybe her children died or got sick, or we don't ever know. It was more common back then that you'd lose a lot of children that way, you know, prematurely. But it says in here that the barren one now has many children, and that had many children now has none. It says the Lord killeth, and He makes alive. You know, we're here today by just the very grace, by the very blessings of God, are we able to walk out of this building and go to our home, or come to this building and get to worship and learn about Him. Because life is fleeting. It can just end in an instant. And we never know when it's going to be. We never know when we're going to get out on that road and the car's going to cross the line. I almost had a car hit me a couple of weeks ago, going back down 1840 around one of the curves, and the car come around on my side. I had to go in the ditch to get away from it. But the thing is that you just never know when it is your time that God says it's over, that it's done. It's just by His blessing and His grace that we're here. I got to ask, because of the lessons the last few weeks, so what are we going to do with that time while we are here? But that's not the sermon tonight. Like I said, it's fleeting though. God gives us this life, and He takes it away. Don't think that we don't die without God's approval. People are born with God's approval. Who makes that spirit that indwells our body? God does. The fact is that He's the one that brings you down, He's to the grave, and He's the one that brings you up into life. It says, the Lord maketh poor and maketh rich. He brings low and He lifts up. It's God who does these things. But so often, we think we do these things. Granted, we should take care of the vessel that He's created. We should live healthy. We should do what we should be doing. But God who chooses when we live, when we die, what He's set for us to do in life. It's Him. A lot of people would say, well, God will never kill anybody. It's not God. But that's not what God's Word says. God's Word says here and in other places that God brings life and God brings death. It is appointed once for man to die and then the judgment. What are you going to do with the life that He's given you? Are you going to be like Nebuchadnezzar over in Daniel? Or are you going to build up a great empire for yourself and say, look, what I have done, I, me? Or are you going to build up something of eternal value, an eternal kingdom? Are you going to bring people in to Christ with you? Or are you going to do something to try to be some big shot while you're here? Because I'm sorry, if you want to be a big shot on this earth, there ain't nothing wrong with it. But if you're doing that apart from God, and you're doing it in an ungodly manner, then all you'll have is what you have here. And it's worthless. 50, 60 years from now, 70, 80, however, when you're dead and gone from this earth, whatever you've done here that wasn't to bring someone to Christ or wasn't living for Christ is just pointless. You'll have nothing to show for it. I would say that I've never seen a hearse pulling a U-Haul, but now I have, so I can't say that. But you still ain't going to take it with you.
Right.
That's a good one.
I have actually.
I believe so. I've seen that everything.
Yeah.
That does surprise me.
Well, I seen a post on Facebook anyway, and
Right.
yeah, you can find anything on Facebook, but the fact is that it's true that you can't take it with you.
I mean, that life that you're talking about is like that paycheck. At the end of the week, you got nothing to do with it.
Exactly. What good is it?
What we gonna do with it? What we got?
Verse 8, He raiseth up the poor out of the dust, and He lift up the beggar from the dunghill. Nice way of saying poop top, it's by His leave that we have anything. And He sends His blessings out to the saved and the unsaved. And then it's just a matter of what are you going to do with those things that He has sent out for you. Maybe He lifts one person up and makes them rich so that they can help other people, but then they squander it away instead. Or maybe He keeps one person poor to show them that they need Him. Maybe that was the only way they would have ever found Him.
That's the only way they call out to Him.
Yeah. I thank God for the hard times in my life, as bad as they were, because if it wasn't for those times, then I'd not know Him now. But He raises people up out of the dust. He lifts up the beggar from the dunghill to set them among princes. And I hear that and I think about King David. He was out in the sheep pastures, stepping around sheep patties, and the next thing you know, he's king of all Israel. God chooses who He does. Or look at Joseph, who was in prison for 12, 13 years, and he comes out to rule over all of Egypt. And at that time, Egypt was one of the greatest superpowers on earth. He went from the prison to being, ruler, second in charge, only right under Pharaoh. But Pharaoh put him in charge of everything. So, God will take and He will lift you up out of this mess. But like I said, how often is it that we think if we do it, that we become a Nebuchadnezzar? God gave Nebuchadnezzar another chance, thank God. That we can look back, and He gives us many chances too. But we can see how merciful God is, because He went back and gave Nebuchadnezzar another chance. He took him even after he went out into the wild and eaten the grass off of the ground for 7 years. Then God lifted him back up and put him in charge. And then we have writing from Nebuchadnezzar himself that says, I glorify the one God in heaven. Because, it was after that time of trial, that learning experience, that he had to turn his eyes back to God. But how often is it that we think that we do these things on our own? And how often is it that people don't turn back to God? That they lie to themselves and they deceive themselves into thinking that they've done something. And most of the time you see those people like that, and they're unhappy as can be. Or we can see people like that, like in the Great Depression, when they lost all their money. How many of them was jumping out of skyscraper windows and committing suicide? Because, they lost everything that was important to them, their very God, they lost. It says in here that He sets them among princes and to make them inherit the throne of glory. Only God can save us. That's eternal salvation, that throne of glory that we inherit, that eternal salvation with God. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and He hath set the world upon them. Many ways we can look at that. The pillars of the earth. Pillars are a foundation. God has set a foundation that this world is built upon. And this world is built upon His Word. The very Word that He spoke out of His mouth. He built the foundations. Everything is built upon that. And He has control over everything. Everything. Whether we live, whether we die, whether we're rich, whether we're poor. He controls all of that. And it's all a matter of what are we going to do with it? When we're rich, are we going to glorify God because He made us rich? When we're poor, or are we going to glorify God because He feeds us the next day? Or even maybe we're starving, but He gave us life. There's always reasons to glorify God. As I seen one pastor say, I was complaining because I didn't have a good pair of shoes on my feet. And then I looked over and I seen a man that had no legs. So it's always a matter of perspective. Are we going to glorify God for what we got? Maybe I got a bad pair of shoes, but at least I got my legs. Just saying. He will keep, I love this one right here. He will keep the feet of His saints, and the wicked shall be silent in darkness. For by strength shall no man prevail. No matter how hard we try, we're not going to win that way. God keeps the feet of His saints. For as Jesus said, I've not lost one out of my hand that the Father has given to me. God keeps us. We don't keep ourselves. We can't keep ourselves saved. We're going to mess up. Rocky said Sunday. Very, very true. The greatest thing that we can really realize is that we're not perfect. That we're going to mess up. The fact is that when we realize that, we know our need for Jesus Christ. Because if we was perfect, or we could keep ourselves perfect, then we'd have no need for Him. But the fact is that we are sinners. We do make mistakes. We do fall short. Sometimes we get angry when we shouldn't get angry. Sometimes we say things that we shouldn't say. Sometimes we do things that we shouldn't do. And we turn it back to God and say, God, please forgive me and help me not do it again. And if we'll put our trust in Him, and the closer we grow to Him, the more He'll help us to keep from doing it again. Till the next time we mess up. But He will keep the feet of His saints. They say we can't save ourselves. Only He can save us. And when we trust Him, He will save us. And that's the key right there. Trust Him. Believe in Him. Trust Him. Put our faith in Him. The wicked, they'll sit in the darkness. For by strength no man shall prevail. The adversaries of the Lord shall be broken to pieces. And what was it we read in James 2 weeks ago? That to be friends of the world is to be enmity with God. So if you're an enemy of God and a friend of the world, you're His adversary. And it says right here, you will be broken into pieces. Out of heaven shall He thunder upon them. The Lord shall judge the ends of the earth, and He shall give strength unto His king. Oh, wait a minute. Like I said, and I made the point before this, that this was at the end of the Judges. This was before there had ever been a king appointed in Israel. This right here is talking about Jesus Christ. This is a messianic prophecy right here. So it says here, and He shall give strength unto His king, and exalt the horn of His anointed, or of His Messiah, or of His Christ. That's another way of interpreting that anointed. Yeah. So, as we see, Hannah, as she was speaking this, she knew the Lord very well, I believe, very well. Because everything that she says here, like I said, we can go back it up in Scripture. And everything we see here is true. We can do nothing on our own. And I think that it was at the moment that Hannah realized that she could not do it on her own, that she finally fell on her knees in grief and in pain, as it says, and begged God to give her that child. And when she did, when she finally seen that she could not do it on her own, and gave it to God, God heard her prayer, and she gave birth to Samuel. And her husband was a better man than me because she devotes that child to God and takes him to the temple, or at the time it was the tabernacle. Yeah, she gave him right back to God. And that's what she said she was going to do. She'd go and see him every year, but she gave him back to God. And isn't that what we're supposed to do, Rocky? We ask God for these things, but we give them back, okay? So yeah, God makes us rich. What do? We give it back. We give it back. Right. Why does He give us more? So we can give it back. So we can help. If we ain't poor, or if we ain't rich, things that He blesses us with, like right now, I'm blessed with a lot of extra time on my hands. I try to use wisely. Try to give it back. That's a whole nother sermon in itself. That's a whole nother lesson in itself. But the fact is that God is in control. And the quicker that we learn that and quit fighting against Him, the better off we are. Now, if y'all would, go ahead and bow your heads. Rocky, would you close us in prayer?
Father God, we thank You for all things that You're doing in our lives, Father. I'm going to pray right now over all those that are not here tonight, Father God. You know each and every one of them, Lord God. I'm asking You, Father, like I said, send them a witness to fully understand why and what they're doing. Father, send them that witness and let them know that they're missed, they're dearly loved over here, Father, and that to miss out on fellowship with their fellow saints is sin, Father. But I ask that You just help them understand it, recognize it, bring them back to us, Father, so we can have a wonderful service like You have planned all along for us to have, Father. Now we ask, Father, for that peace, that love, that unity that goes with this church, Father, to be enticed and not be broken, Father God. We plead the blood over each and every one that is here and those that are not here tonight, Father. We ask that this message bear bear root into our hearts and into our minds, Father. Let us take it with us this week so that we may be able to pass it on to someone else, Father. As Gary said, you give, we take, we give back, Father. Let us understand that and recognize it and just give it back this week, Father. And we thank you for it. We give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.